In today's video, I do an unboxing of Cthulhu, Fear of the Unknown. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of January of 2025, I have my Nemesis Lockdown Pledge, which I never opened. And so this box is going to be shipped to you with all of the Kickstarter stretch goals. And also $100 going towards a crowdfunding campaign, which my Patreon supporters are currently voting upon. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page if you're interested in getting in on the chance of being chosen by Bob for one of these gratitude gifts. So I can't even remember honestly how long ago this campaign was, nor what my pledge level was. I think I just got the base pledge, but we will see. Considering the size of the box, I think that's all I got. I don't think I got any of the add-ons. I support so many campaigns that I tend to forget what my pledge level was, and if it is late or delayed for a while, I actually forget that I have pledged against it. But here, we're going to go ahead and see what's in this box. Now, I do know that they already had a whole nother campaign before this was delivered, and those of us in the Midwest as well as East Coast got our shipments later than most other people in the United States. I know West Coast received it a couple of weeks ago. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what's inside. All right, so I actually backed this before playing the original Cthulhu Death May Die. And I know Alex from Board Game Co. says that this is one of his favorite games, so that's why I ended up backing. But since then, I did actually play the original first wave of Cthulhu Death May Die, and I thought it was just okay as sort of a dungeon crawler, especially since there wasn't a campaign mode. So this might be one of the cases where after checking it out, I might have this be one of the GGGGs in the future. And it does look like I just got the base box with all of the stretch goals. And I'm pretty sure that this is a standalone, and they might have improved on some of the complaints from the first wave. They already have the third wave that already kickstarted, which sort of is annoying to me because before I even received the shipment of this, and this was made available at retail, they already were doing a third Kickstarter. So obviously I passed on that, not having received this one. And then after playing the original game, I wasn't overly impressed with it. As it was fine, but there was probably 10 other dungeon crawlers that I would rather play than this one. So we'll go ahead and see. Oh, that's weird. Why did they have a separate sheet? Maybe the components are a little bit different. I'm not 100% sure what the difference is here, so who knows. So honestly, I am proud of myself for not getting a bunch of expansions, because I think I'm slowly learning my lesson that you don't really need a lot of the expansions because there's plenty of gameplay. And I'm realizing that I tend to only play a game a few times because I have so many games to play and try out, new games that are constantly coming out. So I think I've learned over time not to go all in because there's just so much content that you're never going to get through it, at least since I have so many other games that I'm playing versus some folks where this is a lifestyle game and this is the only game that they play a million times. So, but I don't think that's the case for me. So even some of my favorite games that I have full intention of playing over and over again, I think our gaming group, we cycle through so many games that it only ends up being played, at the most less than 10 times. So I have to say, I think I'm slowly learning not to pick up all of the expansions and not having FOMO. So I'm not going to pull these out of the packs for now, but this does look cool in the sense that you can unlock these different seasons. Oh, interesting. It's in German here. So I'm not 100% sure if this is episodic or a campaign. I'll have to check that out. And I think these are just the miniatures for the primary boss. So one of you who knows this game better than myself, can you make a comment below about whether or not this is episodic? This would be relatively easy, but also fun to paint, just because, again, it has so much texture in it. And then there's some minions here in the box. So I do sort of like the fact that each one of these are self-contained. How do you say that? Sathagua? Sathagua? I'm not going to pull this out in case this is one of the future gratitude gifts. This does seem like a different kind of plastic, and there seems to be holding a lot more details in the miniature. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if CMON changed their manufacturer or the way that they create the miniatures, because it seems to be more detailed than before. I've been pretty happy with the overall quality of CMON miniatures, even though they're not top tier. They still are good enough, and anything that's painted, I think, looks way better on the board. Alright, the first level here has all of these Corruption Madness tokens. It looks like there's 5 different players that you can play. These snake guys look pretty cool. Yeah, I definitely feel like this is a different kind of material and plastic. It seems harder. So maybe this is HIPS plastic. So there's a lot of detail to be found in these miniatures. So these would be super fun to paint. I don't know about gameplay, but at least the minis would be fun. Here are all of the players across the top, which again, you get 10 of them. So again, I don't think you need any expansions, especially if you haven't kickstarted this. I think you have a lot of different options. So my guess is there's plenty of gameplay in this one box. Check out these ET kind of creatures, or golem kind of creatures here. So I am super impressed with the level of detail that's found on these miniatures. It's more than some of their previous campaigns. So I actually hope that I'm going to see this level of detail. I backed White Death, Zombicide White Death, and so hopefully they use this manufacturer, this type of plastic, for that campaign, but we'll see. So that's super cool. Alright, so this is all of the stretch goals. I think they raised quite a bit of money on this, maybe like, I want to say 3 million, so quite a bit of money was raised here. Wow. Look at all these additional heroes. So a ridiculous number of heroes. More than you could ever probably play. And then, again, we have these episode packs. So that makes me hopeful that there is some kind of campaign to this game. So here's more bosses. Wow, look at how big this episode is. Lost episode 7. Oh, check it out. Look at that. Looks sort of like a bug. I love it. Rantagoth. Gone. K. I have no idea how to pronounce those. I'm not going to open up all of those boxes, but let's take a look. So look at all of these additional heroes that you can play. You know, I might be able to proxy in these miniatures for Pulp Alley, which is a skirmish game that I've always wanted to try. And when I go to Adepticon this year, I think I signed up for a session to learn to play. But these thematically work with Pulp Alley. And if that weren't enough, here's a couple of more. Down here, 4 more. And then you have additional kinds of... This gremlin is throwing up a bunch of worms, looks like. Some kind of fox. Oh, we got 3-armed zombies in here. Yeah, the thing I like about sort of Cthulhu stuff is that all the monsters are sort of non-traditional. It isn't following the fantasy tropes. So they are sort of nightmarish horrors. And because of that, the figures are really atypical of what you find with a lot of other dungeon crawlers, just because of the theme. So these, I mean, honestly, I might just keep the game just to paint up the miniatures, even if I don't play the game that much. I do want to try it definitely, because it looks like it might actually be a campaign based off of all of these different boxes and chapters. It says episodes here. So I'm curious. Again, make a comment below if you know more about this game, whether or not this is a campaign. And if so, I think I'd be more interested in it. Even though campaign games require more of a time commitment and getting people to play and commit to that. So yeah, each one of these bosses, I'm glad that we get a third different boss, because it just changes things up. Alright, so after having opened this up, I think I am more excited about keeping this and potentially playing the game. But we'll see. I mean, I might play the game and then end up not liking it, and then I'll make this one of the gratitude gifts for a future month. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, as I'm going to be coming out with more future videos regarding 3D printing, painting miniatures, as well as reviews for games. And I'll be checking out how to play this game and might get some sessions in just to see whether or not I like it before painting up any of the miniatures, because if it ends up being one of the gratitude gifts for the future, want to keep it as pristine as possible. Otherwise, happy gaming. We'll see you next time.